Hello and welcome to another episode of Utopia Restorations. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Will. Today we're going to be doing a buying guide on a Discovery 2 TD5. So what I'm going So I'm just going to go around and show you everything that I look out for whenever I'm buying one of these and show you why this one is a very good example. This one has had a deposit taken, so it's now going to be leaving very soon after a bit of prep and it's ready. Number one, personally, don't view it in the rain. This is alright, sort of drizzle, but it can sort of hide some of the things on the bodywork. So I'm just going to go around, do exterior, interior, mechanical, and the main things to look for. So let's start with the exterior. Be honest, doesn't really matter too much about the exterior because the main thing when you're looking at one of these is engine and underneath. All about the chassis and what condition the chassis is in, because a full chassis swap on one of these is about 8 grand. So if you manage to buy one for 2, good job, but if it needs a new chassis, ouch. So exterior, same as usual, panel gaps, does everything line up? A lot of these plastics do perish just with their age, but that's understandable. Yeah, scratches down the side, hasn't been used on green laning, which I don't mind if they have been used on green laning. It's Land Rover, you should do, but it depends on how it's been used. One of the things that I always look out for, and a big no for me, Insta-turbo tyres. If you've got Insta-turbo tyres and mud plugs, it's not a Land Rover for me. You've got a side exit exhaust, popcorn limiter, those are off limits for me. I understand why somebody may want one, and I say this now, and I may have one in the future, but personally, it gives you an idea of how it's been treated. Prior to buying this one, I was looking at one that was down south. It was a lovely green one, had big modifications, Insta-turbos and side exhaust. I knew that it had been popcorn limited and bashed about off-road. I was going for the objective of cover your ears, cover your eyes, just go buy it and deal with the problems because the price was very good. Then the owner then sent me videos of them off-roading it and how they used it for off-road. Going through mud bogs, again, it's a Land Rover, it's what they're made for. But when you're sitting on the rev limiter for 5 to 10 minutes, it's not a TD5 for me. So one that you can tell has been respected and looked after, which we'll go into on this one a bit more, some of the reasons why. But yeah, just on the quick exterior. Another key thing to look out for on the exterior is the side steps. These are lovely, however, they rot out in the middle and completely rust, and then they bend and sag. If it's completely straight and flush to the body, it's solid, it's good. And the easiest test, stand on it. That the whole car moves and it doesn't move, so it's solid, it's good. Other ones to look out for is again sort of a canvas exterior. Rear arch is usually one, lovely and clean. They sort of bubble and pit around here as these seals collect mud and dirt, trap it, and then it rusts out. So all seals, make sure those are all good. Move to the top, sunroofs. Notorious for leaking. These ones again don't, hence why we like it. Yeah, so sunroofs, check for duct tape, sealant, anything like that. You can generally check for watermarks on the inside. Other exterior bits, I wouldn't be too adverse. It's more than likely these bumpers are going to have some cracking in them. They're 20-year-old cars. It's likely the front and the rear, because they're now quite hard to get hold of, quite expensive. But same again, depends on what level. If all your lights are smashed out, again, possibly shows you how it's been treated, how it's been reversed. But yeah, generally they will have some cracking. Just making sure it's not too much or anything too dear. Another exterior part is the headlights. Now these ones do need a polish, which we'll be doing before they leave, but they are not misted, the seals have not blown. It's pretty hard to get a hold of one of these. I fortunately do know people that have some, but yeah, if they have blown, you need to take them out, you need to put them in the oven, heat them up, break the seal, and then reseal them and put them in. So yeah, if those aren't blown, that's generally a positive. Other than that, there's nothing else major, too much on the exterior that you need to worry about. So for the bags, this one's got relatively new bags and they do work and the air suspension works. So that's always something to check. So let's go round for the exterior. It's just rust. Look anywhere and everywhere for where it can rust. This one, again, as I say, is really clean. So it's got a bit of dirt on it, but you look, it's been treated. We're going to treat it again before it leaves us. Yeah, just look for any signs of rust or damage. Get underneath it as well. Don't be afraid to go and have a look underneath the car. Poke a screwdriver around, look at the rear cross member, look for weld lines that shouldn't be there. anything like that, because this is going to be your big cost. If your chassis has got damage or it needs going, the rear cross members always go on these, same as Defenders. So yeah, just get underneath, have a look, see what's going on, see has it been protected, has it been looked after, has it been welded, and how well. So let's go for the engine, which is up here. Whoop, whoop. There you go. So that's another one for your buying guide. Pop over the engine and always have a look. I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed. So it is a TD5. You can see the turbo. Same again. Always do some inspections around here. See what's going on. See what they've done with it. Has it got a bigger turbo? Has it been mapped? All those sort of things. You can map these. Personally, the only issues that I've ever known people to have with TD5s is when they mess around with them, with bigger turbos, bigger injectors, all that sort of thing. Generally is the stuff that causes issue. So you generally get a good idea. Is it fairly stock? If it is, it's probably been quite well looked after. If it's been bashed about off-road. Now, like I say, it's TD5. I would expect some oil in here, but you generally need to just keep an eye out for where it's most important. Is it leaking around the turbo? Is it leaking around the intercoolers? These are notorious for the rocker covers leaking. This one's got a cover so you can't fully see. But I do have to say, I've had this on concrete and had it stood for a week, no drips from it. So that's generally quite promising. If nothing's actually physically leaking, you may say have some residue oil around some stuff, but just look for that. Look for what their driveway looks like. Is that a driveway covered in oil? Then it's probably leaking. If it's not, it's probably not leaking. Other bits to check for as well. Now this isn't too major, but again, generally gives you an idea of the vehicle. Under here, you've got your battery, and you should have your bottle jack. If things like that are still with it, it's probably been quite well looked after. And you've got your ECU. And we have the notorious problem of a TD5 where oil travels up the inside of one of the cables and has oil in the ECU. It can cause problems, but it's always worth having a check, pulling it off and having a look. So for the client that this is going to, we're going to be giving it a clean and a check over for them, showing them some pictures that it is clean, but something to keep an eye on and make sure that it's not clogged up with oil and affecting the ECU. In the interior as well, you can sort of see there's the outer skin and the inner skin. And one of the things to look for is this inner skin often rots and rusts out. So you can look all the way down and check, is there any rust or any rot going on in here. Same as around on the bulkhead, check in there, check for all the pumps, check for any oil leaks like we said previously. Same as down here, check for any rust or anything that's going on there. As you can see, there isn't. So that's about it from me for the buying guide. Just generally check around. My big one is chassis. Chassis is number one, engine's number two, then we're onto gearbox, then we're onto axles. Those are the most important things. Interiors and things like that, there's plenty about. There's loads of them being broken, and you can find them. But if you've got a bad chassis and you've got a bad engine, that's where you're going to run into problems. So make sure you check those first. If you think there's anything that I've missed, or there's things that you've discovered when looking for discos, make sure you drop it in the comments below and we can have a discussion about it to help people find a good disco for them. They are about, but sometimes you do have to wait to find a good one. I've seen a lot of them that are high priced and yeah, need new chassis, need new engines and aren't good. So sometimes it is better waiting and looking for the right one. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next week in our next episode.